much swearing today as I get so passionate and excited about our life journey here on Earth with our 3 children. So
Nice.
fun time.
Nice. So you have 3 kids.
Yeah, I've got 7-year-old twins and a 4-year-old son. And just in that journey in itself of being able to have them and how that all unfolded, was very was a big experience in itself. And it's like in 2018, we had a life contract change update, which sounds very woo-woo, but that's kind of where my whole sort of spiritual life and my big awakening occurred, and was very focused on a lot of that stuff. And then, while managing the kids and all that sort of stuff, and having a really supportive partner who also wasn't quite in the metaphysics, but kind of was open to it, should I say tolerant, as I was just speed through all these sessions and all these concepts and all of this information that was just pouring through my clients as I started becoming a practitioner for QHHT and BQH, which is getting your clients into a really relaxed state so they could channel their higher selves. And boy, that's like Googling the universe through your clients. So a lot of growth for me personally, and as it was, the information was just it was big, it was lots.
Nice.
And yeah, so then everything sort of changed for me last month as we were given sort of the understanding that the contracts for our children to attend school in the capacity that they were no longer is required. And so it was just a liberation for us, but so purposeful why they had to be there, even though I knew it wasn't what I really wanted for them. So we kept asking their guides and kept channeling and kept, sort of, is it time yet? Can we do this? And we kept getting told no. And this is when you kind of know you're not channeling your human ego, because when you're really wanting something and you have a session thinking you're just going to have this confirmation, and then your guides, your main guides, your children's main guides are saying, no, this is significant. They need to be here. I respect that. And when you don't want to respect your children being exposed to bullying and control systems that are disempowering them, it's a big ask. And I had to put my maturity on and my metaphysics and just accept it and trust the process of it. And so as soon as we got given the okay, it's done now, that life contract's finished, you can keep them at home. Literally, it was like one afternoon, just our whole world changed. And that's when I discovered a term called unschooling and deschooling. And I just have thrown myself into this research of it. And it isn't a coincidence that the last project we were just doing was about teachers who have come to this planet, been human, and have taught us this amazing stuff that we haven't kind of understood. And so there was lots of this project, we were Vincent van Gogh, Helen Keller, Montessori, Maria Montessori, Rudolf Steiner, Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci. Like, there was just so many souls that wanted to come in to remind us of their life purpose, their reason for being here, and what they were trying to help us understand, regardless of whether we got it or not. And it was just this amazing journey for me as a person to remember, when we're living, we're learning. And so I have to unschool myself and unschool the kids and all this sort of stuff. So I'm like super passionate to it, but I sort of felt like my biggest takeaway from these sessions and this understanding at the moment, because it's still very new for us, is the children didn't stay 1 minute longer than they needed to at that situation at the school for those experiences, because I felt like it just wasn't right. And I knew all the corruption, I knew all the systems that are not empowering humanity, I knew all of this stuff, but I still had to be patient enough to allow my children to have that experience, even though I was kicking and screaming. And so I'm coming from a really metaphysical perspective of it, for sure. So sorry, it's just I haven't actually verbalized this properly in this format before. So I am very excited about it. I want to tell you everything. So I'm sorry, I don't want to.
No worries. Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. So y'all are a month into the homeschooling journey.
Yes.
Yeah. Or unschooling, deschooling.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then when I realized what it actually meant, because I actually had no clue what homeschooling really entailed. Like I had all of those old school assumptions really retarded. I don't know why I was having that schooling within me to think about that. And you know, like my partner works for a film industry. You know, he's made movies. He's made earlier in his career, he made like video games and things like that with special effects and motion capture and all this sort of stuff. And I still, as of last month, still thought when my children were playing games and like Minecraft, that was like that wasn't education. That was kind of like, you know, oh wow, if you must kind of have that out. And I just did not even factor in or understand that this was still learning for them, and this is still a skill set. And when our mortgage is being paid off by like the film industry and not so much the gaming program anymore, but that was his journey. Now he didn't go to varsity, I did. And so it was just like, it was right in my house, right in my face, that, you know, what you're passionate about and what you love doing gets you the jobs that you thrive in, that then gives you the abundance and gives you the joy and gives you everything. But yeah, I was just blind to assumptions, human assumptions. And it's embarrassing because I sort of prided myself on being aware of my surroundings and my routines and all that sort of stuff that we were hearing in sessions all the time. And then I realized that I had some blind spots.
It's okay. It's the intense programming, because you went through the public school system, right? You went to school, correct?
Yeah, I went to school, being dyslexic, went to school and just read everyone, but did not read. So I just could intuitively read the demeanor of the teachers, the demeanor of the students, and I was just observing life that way. And so I didn't understand. I was focusing on that, reading people's energy and demeanors and how they were feeling and thinking about themselves and how they were feeling and thinking about me. That was my schooling. It wasn't about reading and writing and spelling.
The academics.
I would read books, but I would feel into the author and their journey, and it would just sort of distract me. And so being like an empath, I don't really like labels, but I guess you could say I've always been intuitive, I've always been an empath, and I've always been able to read people energetically. And so that was my focus, because that was what I was training myself in for the role I'm doing now. And I just didn't really understand it, what the significance was. And when I went to art school, I became a commercial photographer. I went to I did Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Arts, and that was about like art history, classical studies, and religion. And people were like, "What are you going to do with those?" And I was like, "I don't know," but I kind of am curious about it. I'm really curious about classical studies. I'm curious about that kind of history, about mythology and all that sort of stuff. But not. I was really interested in like Buddhism and Taoism and you know, Hinduism and kind of a lot of that sort of stuff, because at that time I kind of just felt, and this is embarrassing to say, but I kind of felt like the whole Christianity just seemed like I'd met too many Christians that were not positive, nice people. I judged. I'm still human, obviously, and so I just I kind of thought Jesus was overrated, and I just didn't understand teachings and things like that. And now, fast forward, he's come into so many sessions. His soul's come into so many sessions, and I actually feel like I know him now. He has taught me his teachings and his lessons, and I really appreciate that. But with like, and again, with most of these teachers that came into this last project, who came to remind us what their life purpose was and what they wanted to try and teach humanity, and we missed that. It's kind of like they're here, they're living their lives, they're showing us and setting us examples, and yet we may not understand the full significance or the full relevance of what they were trying to show us. And so just there's a big, beautiful circle that I've just explored and experienced.
Yes, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for your family. It sounds like it's release, like it's a release, and you feel free. Like I could tell by your energy, like you're really excited where your journey is heading. That's really, really dope.
Yeah. It's just, it's liberating. And I just started watching a few sort of like, I started getting into like cooking. Sourdough is my thing right now, and I'm just doing everything sourdough. And while I'm allowing the kids, and now kind of like the book's finished, just finished like last week, and there's like 11 books to our series, and I sort of feel like that's all done and said, and like the metaphysical perspectives of our life contracts and purposes and karma and what we did before lifetimes and what we're doing ahead of this lifetime and all this stuff. It's all done. It's all there. And so now I get to ground myself into my children and to see and to learn from them and to remind myself that the things I kind of just thought, oh, well, everyone makes soap from scratch, right? Like everyone does all this stuff. And I was a potter. So I, before getting into the metaphysics, I just used to do pottery all the time. Like last week, 3 days ago or whatever, I used a pottery, like a rolling pin for the very first time for food. I always use it for play. And so like, understanding my relationship with food is a really important thing. And ironically, we've got this book out as well, which is called Depressed People Don't Eat Salads, because when we're feeling low, we want these highs. We want the sugar highs. We want the comfort food. We want the love. And so we use food as a source of upliftment. And, there's a whole nother conversation with that. So right now I'm thinking, and I'm listening to people and the YouTube videos, and they're showing us how they're doing their baking. And it's making me feel inspired and empowered to realize that the way I do like living my life, I like to, don't use chemicals. We do use essential oils. I kind of do all of this homely stuff that I used to sort of feel like was a bit embarrassing because, maybe with an alternative family. Now I'm realizing, why was I ashamed of that? Why was I embarrassed of that? And why did I not realize that sort of stuff is actually is so empowering to make anything from your heart, from your hands. And it's just, I'm using my energy and it's full of love, and I'm in my joy, and I'm creating anything, regardless of whether it's like pottery or whether it's a half-baked muffin that's kind of better next time kind of thing. It still has the love and the purity that I am putting into it. I'm infusing my energy into it. And I'm noticing now my kids aren't stressed. And I didn't realize how much the system was fucking impressing upon them. Like they were going to work. They were going to energy work. They were transmuting all this energy, clearing all this energy from the teachers, from the other classmates. They were coming home as zombies. And I just thought, oh, it's just, so tiring for them. It wasn't tiring for them physically. It was tiring for them, like energetically, spiritually. Like they were doing their light work. They were doing their service, and they were just getting completely depleted from that. And I just did not realize how much it was taking a toll on them. I mean, part of me was thinking, well, the corruption in the system, going to try to manipulate their minds. And I understood that. I just did not see or understand how much being in a big group of energy field beings and then going in there and grabbing all that density and coming home was impacting all of us. I just did not notice it until the release. As soon as the release, I could see literally the cutting of the ties of the contracts. As soon as we did that, boy, we were like sky high. And energy wise, we just felt that liberation. We just felt that freedom. And I started feeling like, this feels so good. It must be like illegal. Like it felt like more good, and it was just seeing how it felt. And I just felt like, when I sort of assumed the whole homeschool thing, and I'm not a really good teacher. I don't know how, can't spell for myself, to let alone teach it for children. And when I realized we've got so much resources online, there is so much information there. We're abundantly, like, we've got too much information. It's kind of trying to weed out good stuff for us. And I just realized that this journey has been nothing but an extra level of empowerment for us as a family. And I just, it's so challenging when you hear people saying, that they've got all the criticisms and the worries and the fears for us. But when people are compromising their own moral compasses and their own energy fields to do something that they think is correct, they're not realizing how much these systems are seriously taking a toll on our minds, on our physical bodies, and on our spiritual health.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I'm so glad that you put that so like beautifully worded. But your babies are young. And just imagine, like I tell and I share, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to teach 12th grade English. And so seeing what, 12 years plus one, so I say 13 years of public school education does to students. I tell people all the time, my last year teaching, my students were so depressed. Like, I can use that word to describe them. They were down. They were sad, which made me sad because, of course, I'm taking all that in.
All of it. Yeah. And so what they were experiencing is the density of this planet. There are advanced souls coming in, looking like cute little humans who are just profound energy vehicles. They're here to be of service. They're here to uplift humanity. They're here to awaken humanity. They're here to teach us. And when we fail those children because they're struggling with the density that we're putting on them, because we're judging them, we're wanting them to get the right spelling, we're wanting to do all this sort of stuff to be human, when we're not human, we're souls playing human, and we have got so conditioned to pretend to be human, to focus on human. And what really is success is not really following that way as such. Sure, some people can sort of, they love
Right
that
in it. Yes, of course.
Yeah, they love it, but is it because that's all they have? Or like, it's so convoluted. I love it. But yes, I can imagine you bringing all of their energy to home, and to have that compassion of knowing that they're not joking, they're struggling, and they're struggling with the senses. And while I feel like a lot of teachers go into the system because they want to empower children, they want to inspire children, they want to be these vessels of love. Yes. And it's not even about the curriculum. It's about when you're seeing them feeling the world, feeling the density of the world, feeling how perverted the world is at a soul level. What solutions can you give each other to be able to support each other? And the only one really, when you don't have metaphysics, is just embracing and loving each other.
Yeah.
And the eye contact, and that I see you, I feel you, my friend. But I'm also aware that even the education systems are trying to, you can't have a personal relationship, you can't have that compassion, you can't nurture a child, and the child just needs a hug. Yes. How do you empower a child's soul who just is missing source of energy, missing in their high frequency energy that they're used to being in, and they're finding very dense experiences here? It is depression. The density does create the depression. And so then what do parents or people do to try and fix those children or help those children? Medicine, which adds to the problem. And it's every system. I just don't think people understand how every system is not designed to empower humanity.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very, very happy that you're saying all this, because I can't find the words to say half of what you're saying, but I definitely agree with all of what you're saying. And I've said it in some kind of capacity. Purpose and identity is definitely something I feel is just drained out of us from the beginning to the end. And then it just becomes a survival type of deal.
Absolutely.
Figuring it out, trying to stay alive, trying to pay bills, things of that nature. And you get distracted from what used to drive you, what used to make you smile, what brought joy to you. All of that just dissipates.
Distraction, it's a huge one, and we just don't see all of the ways that we're complying by being distracted. And sometimes we think what is giving us joy is just another distraction to distance ourselves from ourselves. And when we're trying to feel and fit into being normal human, and we're trying to find our own identity, and but the systems are trying to divide us and make us not feel one, make us not feel equal, make us not feel either equal or below or above. We're all energy, we're all loved so much, but by whatever you want to call it, God, divine, sweet baby Jesus, Buddha, they are still souls, they're still energy, and they're still here supporting humanity. And when people realize that we've all got our own guides, we are multidimensional beings, and we can feel into other dimensions. And I know it gets super woo-woo, but why we're here on earth is very significant. And there are some very big souls, lots and lots and lots of children, definitely, are coming in to help lift and to awaken. But we get confused because when we think someone's sick or someone has an injury or a birth defect or whatever, that is, a slight of them being not basic, normal human. But when we start understanding things from a metaphysical perspective, like what autism is, for example, yes, we understand the medical industry's got a lot to answer for that. But when you look at it from the soul, not wanting to fully be active and being a human, but being here as an energy vessel, then we can start understanding things. But I am definitely an anti-vaxxer. And I've never vaccinated my children. But when we were starting to hear information about why some people do need these vaccines to update their DNA, it's not manipulating the DNA for evil. When we actually had to understand all of that stuff and accept and have metaphysics and understand people's life contracts and understand people's life purposes and all this sort of stuff, that's when we started hearing and understanding why the Grand Awakening is unfolding as it is, even though emotionally we're very nervous and very skeptical and really scared of certain things that are looking really detrimental to humanity. But when we add the metaphysics to understand these souls needing these situations, we can understand it, but it does take some maturity. And you have to have a lot of faith in your own teams to guide you and trust you. And when I've heard so much information from so many different clients, the same stuff, they're channeling the same information from their higher selves, you start gaining a trust and a respect that these are not humans speaking to us through these channelings. These are advanced souls, advanced beings, giving us perspectives to help us find inner peace. I know a lot of people say, oh, you're so happy. You're just in denial. You're not seeing, the state of the world in its true form. It's like, I see the world in its true form. I see it all, but I refuse to choose to allow my energy frequency to bottom out. I am responsible for my energy. I have to keep at a high frequency energy, so I am shedding and sharing love for all. And it's a very challenging thing for some people to not, they can't believe you can have inner peace while being awoken to all of the control systems. We get to choose our feelings, we get to choose our emotions, and we get to choose our reactions. But when we fully awaken and understand why these things are happening, that's when I found my inner peace, that's for sure. And all I can speak about is for myself.
Yes. Have you ever listened to Coax Marie? Coax Marie? She has a song, and I don't know the title, but I know it goes like, I see the society, but all is well in my world. I see the society, but all is well in my world. It's pretty heavy, which all of her music is really, really intentional and really affirming to, you being you and you thriving in you. Understanding that all of it's not meant for you to fix, all of it's not meant for you to, like you don't have to do the most.
Definitely. Yeah, it's so true. When we love the world, we want to fix the world, and yet it's none of our business really, as hard as it sounds, because they're going through their own lessons, they're going through their own karma, they're going through their own soul's journey that they wanted, as random as it sounds. And this is when people want to, there's no such thing as God because children get cancers. And I said, well, what if those children getting cancers is to awaken their family into stopping their routines, see the system, see what it's for, and have their own awakening? That's purpose. That is significant. But of course, our emotions are everywhere when we're thinking about that. But it's about gaining the perspectives of why those souls wanted to have those experiences for each other, with each other, by each other. And it goes with really big things, rape, murder. Those are not pleasant things to talk about. But when we ask, why was the soul experiencing that? Was it a life contract? Was it free will? What's going on there? Explain yourselves. If you're supposed to protect us, and they say they do protect us from everything but our lessons, and we have to experience our lessons. And so for whatever reasons that is. But yes, I do love what you're saying about we have to know what's our responsibilities and what's not our responsibilities.
Yes.
We can disempower people with the most profound love we have for them because we're worried that they're going to fall off their bikes, so we don't buy them a bike, and, we do all these things from love, but are we allowing them to grow?
Yeah. 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 No. You are definitely saying some very powerful things, and I'm so, so happy to have you share from your perspective in this manner. Uh, it's all important. It's all important. A lot of people ignore the fears that they place on these little people who are, come into the world fearless. And they want to conquer it all. They want to do it all because that's what they're listening to. And then, they come against adults that see something else or want something else or feel something else, and so then they're deterred from that path. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Well, I know lots of spiritual people come to me with their big egos and sort of, I'm such an advanced old soul, and I say, well, we're all the same age. And so, because it's true, we're all whatever the age of source is. And so while we've had other experiences and things like that, just because I'm nearly 50 doesn't mean that I should be doing nearly 50-year-old stuff. Like I'm still learning how to spell, I'm still learning to do a whole lot of stuff that people would want to box me and label me in as, she should have done this and she should have done that.
Yes.
Like those should haves and those assumptions and those putting people into boxes. And so therefore a young child, there are so many advances. Like, so Tesla said the other day in a session that each time you have a lifetime, you grow, you have a learning lesson in a skill set, and sometimes you want to keep carrying on those skill sets into other lifetimes, and so therefore you are already knowing of certain skill sets. So, and it's interesting because when we're so gifted, when some things are so easy for us, because it's all these skill sets that we've collected from all these other lifetimes we've had. But it's so easy for us. We don't value it as being 17 lifetimes worth of hard work. And so we dismiss it because we just don't see the value in it, because no one else has seen our value in what we're bringing. And we're all unique. We've got all these other skill sets and awarenesses that we're bringing to these earth lifetimes. And so when you see these little children who suddenly start playing amazing classical music as if they've just written it and played it for decades in other lifetimes, and we don't see the significance of how they got those skill sets. It's just genius babies. Genius babies, or it could be just that they're continuing on with their skill sets from other lifetimes. And so when we start expanding our minds to pretzels, to start seeing things about the significances of our behaviors and our, I don't want to say weaknesses, because it's just areas we haven't grown yet. So we've got so much strengths that we come into this planet with. And I think that is why a lot of, you could say, the medical industry wanted to impact. The medical industry is just complying to other systems. But when you're starting to try and impact really advanced souls and trying to somehow disconnect them from their own skill sets so they can't provide the technology or the wisdom or the whatever that they came here to be, it's very interesting. And so it's a marvelous time to be here on Earth. Nothing to fear, because you're then choosing to have a lower frequency. And I say face all your fears, because we're so powerful. Indeed. We're so connected. We're so loved. We're so loved. And if you actually understood the power of your energy, the power of your mind and your perspectives, we would not be limiting ourselves anymore.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I receive all of that. Yes. Oh, yeah. Like, just all things beautiful, definitely. So y'all have made this transition and you've seen a different uplift of your family as a whole. What does your day-to-day look like?
So our day-to-day looks like, at the moment, it's just like holidays, I have to say. We're just enjoying this honeymoon period of just not having this pressure. And I wanted the kids to find their own steps, because they've had so much intensity of energy and a lot of pressure. And it's just been this combat. And so that we're grounding ourselves and we're healing from that. And so it's about nurturing the fact that we are understanding what unschooling and deschooling is, and one of my daughters already has chosen that she wants to make a book about New Zealand birds, and we're doing this craft market. That they are doing this craft market where they're doing like little Christmas ornaments and a lot of pottery pieces that they want to sell to either homeschoolers, children, and this is kind of like their children craft thing. So we've already kind of got into these projects, as well as, we live in the capital of New Zealand. So we've got, great zoo, a great museum, lots of art galleries and things like that. And it's coming into summer. It's just spring now. So for us, it's about just embracing our children. The big change, like physically, that our children are showing us is that they're laughing, they're getting on with each other so well. They're hugging us. I mean, seriously, like they're hugging us like 10 times a day. They're just so grateful to be out of that. And that's when I realized it's so, like, I have to remind myself I weren't there one more minute more than they needed to be. Because I knew it was not flourishing them as humans, but they had to be of service for that. And they did it. And so it was interesting to hear in a session that they're like in retirement mode now. They've completed their life contracts. And now they're in this retirement mode of honoring themselves, honoring their focus on what they want to learn to do. And I mean, the girls can read and write, and we like listening to them reading books and things like that. So they are already on their kind of journey of empowerment that way. And they're doing a lot of Minecraft stuff. They're doing a lot of content creating. There's just having fun with the flexibility of them making the choices. And I'm still trying to learn how to unschool myself. So there's a few things I wanted to jump in and help them, like with pottery, because I've been doing it for so many years. I want to fix it. I want to help them. And I that. And I found myself being a little bit too like wanting to help too much. And I just realized, no. And when I slapped myself around at the focus, this is them, this is not me. When I learned to step back and allow them to have the play with the clay, they were amazing. Nice. And I just I had to experience that. They could do it themselves, and they did it well, and they did it better than even my own expectations, and they were even more creative. I could see talent and skill sets that they had picked up and they were showing me. And I've been playing with clay for so long. And so it's about humbling my ass, humbling myself enough to realize that they are, not 7. They are advanced souls themselves. We're all advanced souls. It's really celebral. They're capable. They're so capable. And
very capable.
I'm learning that the mess that they are making, it's a combined effort to clean up. Whereas beforehand, they're just little children, I'll do everything. No,
right.
Everything. I don't need to do everything. And actually, we can still be talking and communicating and having fun while picking up our crap. And it's just, and they want to do it now because they're just not so impacted with being so drained from the stresses and pressures of their light work energy and just dealing with school, that they actually are now, like, the fog has lifted from them. Nice. They actually can communicate, can express, can do all of these things. And with the 4-year-old who never did anything outside of the home anyway, because we've both been working here at home, and so he just bounces from sort of like room to room to see what he's doing. Now that his sisters are home, we bought some musical instruments, nice. And it's so fun. And it just was like, because there's no stresses in the houses anymore from the school situation, that, I can handle listening to hours on end, because they're practicing, they're having fun with it. And it's just, when you don't have all this other pressure, you can cope with so much more, including learning how to play a plastic recorder. And, it's liberating.
Indeed. I don't think a lot of people realize how much they give up when their children do enter into the school system. They literally dictate everything down to how you spend your holidays, what those look like, what holidays you celebrate. Just a lot, it's just introduced during that time of school and the standards.
Yeah, you're in a relationship with a system. And you're complying, and you don't realize all of the ways that you are complying. And even though the teachers are trying to do their best, they're still complying to a system that is not empowering the children. And so can they truly be happy? And I think this is why the awakening is happening as it is. You know, the nurses and teachers, nurses and doctors are definitely noticing that they're not happy with the system, and that they can't understand why that system isn't working, because when they wanted to have the to be a doctor and a nurse, I've got so many doctor clients. I have, I feel like I've got clients in every industry who come in and share with me their whole life story, and they want to understand the significances of the lessons and the purposes, and so they channel, and I talk to the subconscious through their main guides, through the clients, to be able to help them understand. And sometimes it can be challenging because it's a past lifetime karma or contracts that they're learning to overcome and heal from, and kind of have those different dynamics with each other this lifetime. So it becomes, fantastically convoluted, but it's incredible what souls are here to experience this lifetime. It is very significant what this lifetime has to offer. And unfortunately, when the clients are wanting clarification of should I do this career, or husband change, or life change, or whatever, you can ask your guides all these questions. And when we ask about sort of what should the clients be doing for the future, and we're hearing some really interesting things about world events coming, and it kind of accidentally sort of slipped out as we were trying to support my clients to figure out what's the best choices for them, for like schools or work or whatever. And when you start hearing about things like what happened in Maui beforehand, it becomes a bit challenging, because what do you do with that information? The responsibility to try and prepare people for what's coming can be very challenging, because you don't want to freak them out, you don't want to scare them, but you want to give them the perspectives of why these things are happening. And it's not just one place, and it's going to be it's going to be more, and it doesn't need to be scary, but we have to be aware of what's happening and why. And when we remember with souls just having one human lifetime right now, consciously, it takes away the fear factor of death and a whole lot of stuff. But you got to be mature with your metaphysics, because otherwise it's just an emotional nightmare.
Indeed. Think about the power that you have, or you can possess learning about metaphysics at a young age, as opposed to 35, 40, or 45, like how a lot of us come across that.
Well, I felt exactly the same way. I was like frustrated, like, oh my God, my life was so tragic beforehand. Why wasn't I allowed this information? And they said again, not 1 minute beforehand, or, it's always divine timing. Whenever you are ready for the information, it will come. It will come. Yeah. You may not consciously think, I want to know the answers of this shit show, because Earth is quite scary right now, when you're ready. And sometimes when you have to have these experiences on Earth organically. And sometimes metaphysics is kind of like a shortcut. And so if you're having to feel the stresses of financial situations, and to remember that money doesn't create happiness, you think it could, and you think it should, but really what creates happiness is our mindsets and our love for ourselves and our love for each other. And, it doesn't matter what you have physically. And I think a lot of people are awakening up to materialism and how there is another distraction.
A lot of distractions, a lot of division.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But this is part of the soul's experience. Remember, if we're advanced souls that have lived in different planets, different dimensions, and I know that sounds really, really shocking for some people who've never considered this, but it's the truth. You've experienced it so many times in sessions with clients who, their biggest challenge could have been how they died on another planet. And because that planet was unstable, and that planet suddenly did die. And the shock of it was so traumatizing. And so they're starting to feel this angst again now because of what's happening to this planet now. And so, when you start hearing how other planets and other lifetimes do impact this one, it kind of gives you these pieces of puzzles. But it's tremendous what is happening. And so, yes, I agree with you. But we've always known that we should love ourselves and love each other. But yet we still kind of get distracted from making those choices. And so
it's a bunch of distractions, okay? A bunch of distractions.
Yeah. And when we compare ourselves with others and we belittle ourselves, we are the biggest assholes to ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah.
Really mean. And we would never be mean to other people like we are to ourselves. But then ultimately, hurt people do hurt people. Yes, and so we're so hurt by our own choices and perspectives of ourselves, then we start impacting everyone else around us. And we can be so focused on our own pains, we can be completely oblivious of what we're doing to others, including not feeling their love for us. And don't know people that we just love so much, and they will not accept it because they do not know what love is, because they have never started a relationship with loving self. And they're the hardest ones because they don't feel like they don't see love. They don't understand what love is. And sometimes when we try to give them great love and, try to make cupcakes for them or whatever, they just see this as smothering and too much, and they push it and reject our love all the time. And that's when we find we do step away from those people because we feel like they don't love us. We forget it's really not about us. They just don't even love themselves.
Yes.
And we walk away from way too many people because they are hurt and we don't recognize what they're showing us. We see, they're rejecting me. I'll just go away because I'm embarrassed or I can't cook enough or do enough for them. So we take it internally and we step away. These people are hurt. And we don't need to confirm their worst fears and worries about what we think about them by ghosting them or walking away from them. We love everyone unconditionally as if it's the most trendiest thing to do. And we harbor on to some resentments and some choices that we've made in the past where we were a bit human. And if we can heal ourselves and forgive ourselves for our bullshit choices that we've made for ourselves, when we can mature and accept that we had to learn not to be an asshole to then be a better person for ourselves, we can then forgive others. And it's such an important thing to learn. But where do we learn this? I have not heard an education system that has taught us that.
Or society, because conflict is a hot that's trending always. Like conflict is cute. Cute. CC. What you're offering up is a different way of viewing this journey. And I actually have trust the process tattooed on me because that's one of my favorite sayings. I've been saying it for a while. And I don't think a lot of people really tap into the power that they possess. And I feel like it's mainly because of distractions. I'm always throw that because distractions are very, very heavy. And it's really hard to step away from everything that you've known, all your life. Like I have a cousin who, tells his dad some things and he's just like, he don't believe me. Like, and I'm like, well, your dad's like 59, 60. I don't even know how old he is, but you're asking him to go against everything he's been taught all 60 plus of those years and step into something that you're saying. It's a lot. Yeah.
Unschooling Being Human is kind of a title that I have sort of stumbled across, and it's a statement. We think, homeschooling, unschooling is just about education, but it's really about life. And we've really got to start looking at, because a lot of those distractions that we're doing is because it's a direct response to a control system. And we don't want to comply, so we feel like we're then going against the system, but we're then complying to another distraction, to another system, and so we've really got to be mindful of what we put our energy in. We know, good food choices, but what about good mind choices? Because sometimes we sort of feel like, well, there's nothing wrong. Like, for example, like scary movies, right? I have learned through doing these sessions that if you've died from a trauma of X, Y, and Z, and you watch a scary movie that has actually X, Y, and Z in it, your body goes into a sweat, you feel a bit queasy, and you've relived that trauma, but you've relived it. You didn't die this lifetime. You've lived it. And so therefore you're healing a trauma from a past lifetime you had no idea about. And so I'm saying, you know, whatever you're guided to, whatever you feel called to, whatever you feel drawn to, do it. Honor yourselves. Be your best friends. Honor yourselves. Do everything for you. And when you realize we're still doing things for others in terms of, you know, working or any sort of systems, you know, I mean, it gets like, you know, there's so many layers to it, and I talk about this forever because it's my favorite conversation. You know, like honor ourselves, be honest with ourselves and honor ourselves while seeing all the hurt people around us aren't our problems to fix them, but love them and see what is going on for them. They may be jerks or assholes to us because they're showing us their pain. Don't take it as a personal thing. And I think with children as well, you know, with everyone, however we're responding and reacting to each other is a literal representation of the pain that we have. And we know that pain. We have felt all of that pain. We can have so much compassion for them. And I feel like there are some spiritual people that say, oh, walk away from a narcissist. They're just, you know, horrible people. No, people so hurt. They're so hurt. And yet we're this, you know, we've got this attitude that we can just walk away from them and ghost them because they're just narcissists. Drop the labels and understand what they're going through and struggling through. Because, you know, we're all hurting. We're all human. Yes, and we're here to be all one and to have compassion for each other. Yes, and you know, it's big conversations. And I know that sometimes we don't want to love everyone. But everyone's teaching us something. And if what if that teaching us is to empower ourselves? Because really, you know, we have these big lessons, we have these big experiences, not to destroy us. Nothing's to destroy us. Everything is to give us an opportunity to empower ourselves. Always. We just have to look for what it is. And so we, you know, the lessons are always there, always.
Always.
But if you can't see the lesson, you're still in that experience.
And you're going to keep on. You're going to keep on. You're going to keep on and keep on and keep on. Yes, you are. And no, we need each other. We really do. And that's why I've created what I've created, because I'm really big on, thank you. And knowing that we do need each other. And it took me, I had to isolate first before I branched out into this journey. I had to take some time because, like I said, I was in the school system. So I had to decompress from all of that, the many, many years in a system that was not serving, not my purpose at all. But I knew that the time spent was necessary. I definitely did. Had to be there, had to experience it. It definitely makes my voice that much stronger. And I do trust the process. Like that's what keeps the smile. Yes, it does. It really does. It really does. Let it go. Let it go. Keep walking.
Release all that no longer serves you. Because when we are not noticing what serves us and what doesn't serve us, our attitudes sometimes definitely don't serve us. Our belief systems in others, our judgment of others, our judgment of self. There's so much that doesn't serve us, but yet we just think, oh, wow, you know, we're okay with it. And it's kind of about being honest with our responsibility of our mindsets and our belief systems and a whole lot of stuff. And remembering that all our voices are valuable and all our experiences are valid. And when we're sharing, because we're caring, because we want to normalize our journey, which has been challenging, has been awakening, has been alarming, has been emotional, has been everything. You know, Earth is really about exploring all the range of emotions. Yes, and haven't we? We have explored it all.
Haven't we? Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, it's all important. It really is. And, you know, I separate the two. I tell people all the time, it's easy for me to tell anyone. I love everyone. Like, I love everyone. I do. I don't have to like everyone. I don't have to want to spend an abundance amount of time with everyone, things of that nature. And that's what people like. I can care about you by all means. I can care about you, want to feed you, want to clothe you, everything. However, I do not have to want to sit down and play a game with you, watch a movie with you. Those are two different things.
Yeah. And that's honoring yourself. We love each other at a soul level. We love each other so madly. We are just in love with each other so much, but our human selves, not so much.
Yeah, right.
Those human reactions, those human responses aren't sometimes lovable, especially when they're coming from a hurt programming, when they're coming from disempowerment and they want to hurt people because they want to show us their hurt. So absolutely. And it's about honoring you. If you don't like a movie partner, then don't feel obligated to just be with someone because they're seeking companionship. Sometimes, because that's not serving us. And it's sometimes when we are so compassionate and loving towards each other, we feel like we should be doing everything for them.
Yes.
And how many times have we had friends where we have wanted to give them support and advice all the time? They aren't growing. They're just we're just their listening ears, and then they will actually find problems to come to share with us because they want our attention, they want our time, they want our energy. And there's a difference between empowering people and disempowering people. And when there are people that don't want to empower themselves but just get attention from the world for having problems, they will create things like sicknesses and illnesses just to get that. And
they have names for that. They have names for labels for that.
Yeah, we can heal ourselves. And a lot of the clients that come through want to be healed because there's things that don't work for them anymore. And they can't find treatments to fix what's going on for them. But when you don't go to the root of the problem of what the actual illness is saying and the significance and the message and the mindset that has created that issue, could be past lifetime stuff. It could be this lifetime. You don't know until you channel your main guide who knows everything about you. Everything. That's when you become a bit humbled when you realize everything you're doing is being watched by us, known by the universe. So it gets a bit, you got to have some accountability. And when you realize this is when you start becoming really mature, because you realize I can't be an asshole anymore because they're going to find out in the afterlife. And then that's going to be right.